This course is presented by TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up Studios.
And now, to the glory of God and the benefit of listeners everywhere, it's iPad for all computing.
Well, praise God. Welcome to iPad for All Computing, session number 6 today, and it's time to talk about keyboards. All right, glory to God. Well, we've never done this early on in the course. We always save keyboards for much, much later, and that has been for one simple reason, because we believe you need to first learn and appreciate the experience of the touchscreen. Well, guess what? We still believe that, folks. That has not changed. We still believe, and Apple has made it very clear that they believe that the iPad is first and foremost a touchscreen device. However, because of all of the incredible enhancements that Apple has made to the iPad OS this year, technically last year now, by the calendar, we believe it's time to move keyboards up in the course. And by doing this, we're going to be able to show you a lot of apps going forward. And we will, believe me, right? So today we're going to touch on a couple of apps from the keyboard perspective. But most of you have taken our voiceover in and out course already. And so you know the basics. So this stuff will still make sense to you. But you say, well, I need to still learn the fundamentals of these apps, messages and mail and so on. Well, you will. We're going to teach that in this course, praise God. But because we're doing keyboards right now, you will be able to experience each of these apps going forward from the touchscreen perspective, but also using keyboard commands, using the menu bar. And so it really is, in my opinion, the most versatile device around, because you can use the touchscreen to interact with the apps. You can find all your controls in a full screen app and then simply swipe up to go home. You can window your apps, as we've discussed, and you can use a menu bar, and then you can even navigate with the trackpad on a keyboard or the mouse or whatever, and certainly with keyboard commands. So let's begin. And I'd like to begin today by first talking about the layout of the most common keyboards that are designed to work with the various iPads that Apple has available today. Now, there will be later on in this recording, by the way, we're going to hear from Trainer Cliff. He's going to demonstrate some really cool features, the menu bar and so on, and then I'll kind of bookend this thing. So let's get started. All right, keyboard layout is first. Now, if you have an Apple keyboard designed by Apple to go with a specific iPad, this keyboard layout discussion is especially for you. And so if you've got the iPad A16, you will use the Magic Keyboard Folio. If you've got one of the recent iPad Air or iPad Pro models, you're going to have the Magic Keyboard. Doesn't have the word Folio on it, just Magic Keyboard. And there's one for the iPad Air. There's a different one for the iPad Pro, but they're very similar in nature. And then you might have the possibility of having something third party, and this layout description may still work for you, especially if you have a Logitech, because Logitech seems to follow very closely Apple's example and make things that are designed to work very, very well with Apple products. And so, for example, there is the rugged, what do they call it? Rugged combo, rugged folio, something like that. They have the combo touch. They have the slim folio, just depending on what models you have, of iPad. So there are many Logitech keyboards that are going to be very similar. If you have something else, right, besides Apple or Logitech, our layout discussion may not quite work for you. It may. I'm not saying it definitely won't, but there's a possibility that it won't, because we can't guarantee that all the keyboard layouts are the same. And so please, if you come to us and say, I have a such and such keyboard made by so-and-so, and it's not Apple or Logitech, how do I pair it, or where is this key or this button, because this isn't working quite as you described, we're probably not going to be able to help you. I'm not being mean, right? It's just the reality. We don't know every keyboard in existence. So what I would encourage you to do, if that's you, is to consult the documentation that came with your keyboard, or do a quick online Google search, ChatGPT search, whatever you need to do. You can find keyboard layouts for most of those things online. Having said that, a lot of what we cover is going to be the same. If you're still in the market for a keyboard, I strongly suggest go with the Apple. There is, a bit of a premium price tag with these Magic keyboards, but they're worth every penny. The typing experience is unparalleled, unmatched. They work flawlessly. And by the way, the Magic, as we described when we discussed the accessories at the beginning of this course, these Magic keyboards use the smart connector, so they do not need to be charged. They don't have a battery. There's no Bluetooth pairing. They work right out of the box. Also, the one thing that I think that you should not do is to buy one of those generic keyboards that's not specifically designed for Apple. It says maybe something that you find something cheap on Amazon. Nothing wrong with Amazon. I'm a Prime member. We shop at Amazon all the time. Praise God. But you might find find a variety of things on there, and some of them work, and some of them, and you'll see, full-size keyboard. Android, Apple, Windows, PC, tablet, iPad, iPhone, and it lists everything under the sun. Don't buy it. Okay? Just don't. Because if they're generic, they may not have the right keyboard layout that is designed for Apple. And then we're going to be always thinking, well, what key is that supposed to be, right? Get one at least that is designed for Apple. And even with Logitech, make sure you pick one that's designed for Apple, because Logitech makes some that are designed for Windows and some that are designed for Apple. Pick the one for Apple so you get the right layout, okay? All right. Now, having said that, I'm going to begin my discussion with the bottom row of keys, and then we're going to move to the very top row of keys. Again, we're talking Apple Magic Keyboard family here. And you could use a Bluetooth Magic Keyboard, like the one that comes with the iMac, for example. That's going to be Bluetooth, but a similar layout, but maybe some things might be different. So we're talking here specifically the Magic Keyboards that physically connect and integrate with your iPad, and they're a case and everything too. Now, the bottom row of keys, right? Let's start at the very bottom left. That key is called the globe key. The globe key, Globe. And it is also sometimes called the function key, or FN key, right? Really and truly, now we call it the globe key, but you can still call it the function key or the FN key, because it's been known as that. And sometimes it does serve a sort of function purpose. You can press it in combination with other things. So it's not wrong to say that. I think sometimes even in the help systems, they say that. So absolutely, globe or function, interchangeable. That's the bottom left key of your Magic Keyboard. Moving to the right, the next key is the control key. Control. So you've got globe at the bottom left, or function, and then control is the second one. All right, keep moving. The third one is the option key. The option key. All right. And then the fourth one is the command key. So from left to right, going across the bottom, you've got globe or function, control, option, command, and then the space bar. Okay. Globe, control, option, command, space. Now, moving on to the right, then you have another command key and another option key in that order. So again, from left to right, it's function or globe, control, option, command, space bar, command, option. Now, immediately following that, you're going to find your what we would refer to as the T-shaped arrow keys. And then pretty much everything you'd expect, because this is a QWERTY keyboard, the standard layout in that regard. Everything's typically, what you would be familiar with. You even have the lines on the F and the J to feel. And, if you're a typist at all, you're going to be fine with this. Now, there are a couple of differences because it's not an extended keyboard. You don't have a numeric keypad. You don't have what they often refer to as a 9-pack, right, with the page up and the page down and so forth. You can get to those in other ways, but you don't have a separate row for that. And the other thing I will tell you, just so you are aware of the proper Apple lingo, although it's not a big deal, but if we're going to learn it, we might as well learn it correctly, right? And so when we talk about The key that is above the right shift key, the correct name for that is the return key. Nobody's going to care if you call it enter, right? Many people, even Apple people, sometimes will call it enter, but really the correct name for that is the return key. And you know the one above that is the backslash, not the forward slash. Forward slash is down below to the left of the right shift key or to the right of the period, and that's forward slash or just plain old slash. The one above the return key is the backslash, and the one above that is actually called the delete key. Though if you're a Windows user, you will probably think of this as a backspace key because that's technically what it does. It deletes the prior character, right? So that is delete, but it functions like you might think of as backspace if you're a Windows user. All right, that's the most common stuff on the keyboard. We're going to talk about the top row in just a moment, but give you a second or two to absorb that. Again, bottom row one more time. Function or globe, control, option, command, space, command, option. And we're going to use these keys for different purposes. We'll talk about that in just a bit. The main letters, the main numbers, all that you'd expect. The very, very top row, just above the numbers. Again, if you're a PC user or even a Mac user, you think of these as the F1 through F12 keys. Well, iPad OS technically doesn't really recognize the names F1 through F12. Again, if you need to use that as a frame of reference, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't remember, maybe sometimes even in the keyboard command list we're going to talk about later, they may appear that way. But really, they aren't truly quite that way. What they're actually referred to as is they're a row of iPad OS shortcuts. iPad OS shortcut keys. And really, even on the Mac, Apple has sort of rededicated these to different things. They've often, you don't need them in the iPad world. In fact, there were several versions of keyboards released by Apple that did not even include this row. They left it out entirely because it really wasn't absolutely needed. And there's a story, I don't know whether it's true or if it's more just legend, although it did make it into the official authorized Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson, so maybe it is true. But there's a story that during the sort of interim period in Steve Jobs' life between working when he was fired from Apple and came back and everything, whatever, long story, but in that interim period that he was at somebody's house one time and they were having a get-together and they showed off a keyboard that Apple was working on while Steve Jobs was not at the helm. And he was quoted as saying, this is a battleship. And he didn't like all the extra keys because it had all the stuff that, they did you remember in the 90s and stuff, these gimmicks about, you had special keys to go on the internet and keys to do all kinds of things, and just a whole bunch of extra keys. And so he reportedly said, this is a battleship. And he took out a pocket knife or something, and allegedly started removing keys from the keyboard and said, see, I'm changing the world one keyboard at a time. Now, again, I don't know if that's really true, but it's a fun story to tell, a fun story to think about. And really, you don't need a lot of these extra keys. So for a while, we didn't even have F1 through F12, as they are known. But then Apple did decide to put the iPad OS shortcuts up there. And so if you look at the top row, your very far left key is going to function like an escape key, which is something you'd expect. And that will often bring you out of menus, bring you back home, what have you, just like the escape key of other devices, right? But now moving on to the right, what we're going to see is a variety of different things. And again, consult your documentation because it may vary. I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember necessarily what all of them do on my Apple keyboard because I don't use it that often. I don't use them that often. But I do know what you think of as F1 and F2 will typically control screen brightness on an iPad. They will increase or decrease the screen brightness. Now, there are some third-party ones that they'll actually increase or decrease the backlighting of the keyboard itself if you have backlit keys. Now, Apple does offer Magic Keyboards with backlit keys. At least the one for the Pro it has backlit keys. I don't remember if the one for the Air does, but the one for the Pro definitely does. But the thing about that is it's based upon the lighting conditions in the room around you. You don't manually adjust using the keyboard. There is a way to do it on screen, but you don't manually adjust them. So there's still the screen brightness keys, what you think of as F1 and F2. And then I don't remember, I want to say that what we think of as F3 and F4 are something to do either with SIRI or spotlight or both. I think your one F5 is like maybe puts you in the do not disturb focus or toggles that. We have, I just am not sure. Maybe, I don't know, but I can tell you something. What we think of as F7, F8, and F9 are sort of rewind or skip back, and then play pause is the F8, and then go forward or skip forward F9. So these are media playback controls, right? And then what we think of as F10, 11, and 12, those are going to be mute, volume down, and volume up. So they really do work in that way. And then the far right key is going to like lock the device, put it to sleep, what have you. So these are your 14 iPad OS shortcuts. So a lot of devices, your Magic keyboards, your Logitech ones, they're going to have this row. Consult the documentation. Ask a family member or a friend or a coworker. Ask ChatGPT. Get the list. And one time I think I even called Apple, and this, if I recall, was before ChatGPT, and I gave Apple a call and I used Apple Accessibility. I said, could you just read these to me one at a time? Just tell me what they do. And, as I said, that's always an option. So there's lots of ways to get that information, but that's your top row of your iPad OS shortcuts. Okay, I'd like to move on, and I'd like to begin to talk about using the keyboard with iPad OS. Now, as you might expect, maybe, there are two types of keyboard commands that we're going to be discussing today, because we are voiceover users, right? Most of us. So we have two different types of commands to think about, and I think it's important to keep them separated in your mind so you know what to expect. So we have voiceover-specific keyboard commands, and then we have software, or I should say operating system and app keyboard commands, right? So let's talk about them. Voiceover keyboard commands. These are going to be specifically designed for voiceover users. They only work when voiceover is running. If you turn voiceover off, these keyboard commands are not going to work. And they typically use what are known as the voiceover keys. Well, what are the voiceover keys? Well, it so happens that the control and option keys held down together become the voiceover keys. If, for example, you want to move to the next item on the screen, you can press Control, Option, hold them down, and then press the right arrow, and then let them all go. Now, that combination of Control and Option is often known as the voiceover keys, or the VO for short, right? VO for voiceover. So if I say to you, press VO right arrow, what I mean is press Control Option right arrow. If I say press VO space, that means Control Option and the space bar. Now, there is the possibility to also use, and I think by default you can use either or, whatever you're comfortable with. There is the possibility to also use the caps lock key just above the left shift key as your voiceover modifier key. So instead of doing Control and Option, you can do caps lock right arrow, things of that nature. Cliff and I, neither one of us really uses that. We tend to do the other ones. And since I don't do a whole lot of navigating on the iPad with the keyboard, I don't really do much of that one either. But if I am going to navigate with the keyboard on the iPad, it's going to be using Control and Option as my VO keys. So when I say going forward now VO, you know what that means, right? So most of your voiceover commands are going to require the use of the VO keys in combination with other things. We'll talk in a few minutes about a way to make that a little easier if you think, boy, that's really, like finger gymnastics or something. We'll show you how we can make that easier. But for right now, I want you to learn the basics first. So VO keys on the left, Control and Option, or the caps lock maybe, and then, use other keys in combination with it. Again, these are voiceover specific commands, and they are only going to work when voiceover is turned on. So here's some examples. VO right arrow moves to the next element or next item on the screen. VO left arrow moves to the previous item. That's just like your swipe to the right with one finger, swipe to the left with one finger. Same thing. How do you do a one-finger double tap? How do you activate something? VO spacebar. VO spacebar. That's how you activate, right? And then You know we've talked about the long press gesture with the quick actions menu. Double tap and hold. How would we do that with VoiceOver? Well, we'd press VO Shift M. That's VO Shift M. So Control Option Shift and the letter M. That's going to be your context, your quick actions or your long press gesture. I'm not going to go over all of them. First of all, I'm sure I don't know all of them because I don't do much of this. I use the on-screen method. But secondly, even if I did know them all, I don't think you'd remember them all if I just listed them, right? But I'll tell you a way to find them shortly. But let me give you another one that I like. VO dash or VO hyphen, whatever you want to call it, is the equivalent of the magic tap. You know, the two-finger double tap. So VO dash, that's a good one to remember. Now, there's a few things that I'll tell you a couple others. VOM, for example, is going to bring you to the status bar where you can hear the time and the battery status and so on. And some of you might say, well, I thought as a Mac user that VOM brings you to the menu bar. Well, there's a different way to get to the menu bar on iPad OS with the keyboard, and we'll learn it soon. Now, let's talk about how we can learn and review these keyboard commands anytime that we want to. So the one of the easiest ways to do that is to actually go into your settings. And if you go to settings, accessibility, voiceover, and then commands. You remember this from our voiceover class probably. That has all the commands, not only keyboard commands, but touch gestures and braille commands and I think handwriting and all sorts of different things, right? You literally can look on board and see all the keyboard commands that voiceover has. Again, these are voiceover commands. I'm going to say that so many ways you get it, right? I can't stress that enough, because if you're thinking, well, this is where I'll find out how to, use keyboard shortcuts in Pages. No, it is not, because these are only the voiceover commands. They're not the Pages iPad commands, right? We're going to get to that. But right now we're talking voiceover. So again, settings, accessibility, voiceover, and then commands. And you can pick from touch gestures, keyboard commands. You can view all gesture or all commands, whatever you want, right? And that's a great way to review and learn new keyboard commands for controlling voiceover. Now, another way is to use keyboard help. You activate keyboard help by pressing the OK. Remember, that means Control Option and the letter K, or caps lock K. And once you turn on keyboard help, by the way, is essentially the same thing as you get when you do a four-finger double tap on your iPad screen. But it's another way of getting to it. You can turn it off by repeating the VOK, or by pressing Escape, or by doing the four-finger double tap on the screen. When you are in keyboard help mode, you can press any key on the keyboard to see what it is. VoiceOver will announce its name. If you press a VoiceOver command, VoiceOver will tell you what that command does. It's not going to do it for all. You can't press like Command C and have it tell you that copies text, right? But you can press a voiceover command and you can hear what it does. So I'm going to demonstrate this for you, and that way we'll show you some more commands. Let me put my iPad in the correct position. Bear with me, please. I'm in typing mode now. Turn up the volume here.
Best Buy logo.
Okay.
Section of this.
All right, let's go home here. Now,
home.
I am going
Double tap to open.
to press VO and the letter K to turn on keyboard help.
Starting help. To stop help, perform a four-finger double tap or two-finger scrub, or press Escape on the keyboard.
Notice you can even do the scrub. All right, so any key I press,
Z, A, Shift.
right, it reads it to me. Now, if I press something like Command C, I'm not going to get any information.
Command.
Right? But now, let's press voiceover commands. Let's start out with VO left arrow.
Control Option left arrow. Move to previous item.
And let's do VO right arrow. You can see that I was telling the truth.
Control Option right arrow. Move to next item.
Control Option space.
Control Option space. Activate.
How about VO Shift M?
Option Shift M. Perform long press.
Okay. How about VO dash, remember?
Option hyphen. Magic tap.
Okay. Let's look at a couple other ones that you might be interested in. How about VOH to go home?
Control Option Cap H. Home.
Okay. How about VON?
Option Cap N. Toggle announcement history.
Now, that's an interesting one. How about VOO?
Control option control.
Oops.
Option control.
All right, nothing on that one. How about, oh, here's a good one. VO and the down arrow.
Control option down arrow. Next rotor item.
And then how about VO up arrow?
Control option up arrow. Previous rotor item.
All right. What are we talking about here? Well, in order to do that, let me show you one more. Let's do VO command right arrow. So I'm adding the command key now. I'm doing VO command, control option command, and the right arrow.
Control option command right arrow. Next rotor.
And then let's do left. VO command left arrow.
Control option command left arrow. Previous rotor.
All right, so what this means is if you want to turn the rotor instead of using the two-finger rotation on the screen, you can turn the rotor with VO command right arrow and VO command left arrow. Once you find something that you want, you use VO down arrow or VO up arrow to move through rotor items as if you were swiping up or down with one finger, okay? So maybe I'll show that to you very quickly. Let's get out of keyboard help, but with escape.
Escape. Stopping help.
And I'm on an icon here.
Home.
The home app.
Double tap to open.
So I want to see how that's spelled, so I want to use characters. So if I do VO down arrow right now.
Edit mode. Today.
Okay.
App library.
What that's doing is that's
Today,
actually gonna
Home.
move me like I have my actions. But now let's do VO command right arrow.
Characters. Words.
Go back VO command left arrow.
Characters.
Now you see I can read it by doing VO down arrow.
Cap HOME.
And let's turn the rotor back
Echo.
to actions with VO command left arrow.
Actions.
And
Activate.
there we are. We're back to the actions rotor. So you see how that works. Okay, VO command left or VO command right to turn the rotor, and then VO up or VO down without the command key to move between the rotor items for the particular rotor setting that you have. Now, again, I personally would do that on screen. I would not use the keyboard for that, but that's me. You know, it's personal preference. No right or wrong. Let's return to keyboard help. VO.
Starting help. To stop help. Perform a 4-finger double tap or 2-finger scrub, or press escape on the keyboard.
Again, it's really not just keyboard help. It's voiceover help, but I just called it that. I want to show you, let's do a couple more. Let's do VO return.
Return. Toggle text selection.
Okay. Let's do VO and the letter T. This is a cool one.
Cap T. Red text style.
So that reads the current attributes of the text or whatever you're in. All right, so you can see there's a lot of these. And, you know, again, I encourage you just play with them as you need something. But now you say to me, well, boy, I don't like all these finger gymnastics. You know, I want to be able to move around with one hand instead of two. Well, you absolutely can. There are two different options for this. One of them has to do with moving around, and the other one has to do kind of more specifically with single key navigation on websites. So we're talking about something called QuickNav. There are two kinds of QuickNav: arrow key QuickNav and single letter QuickNav. To turn on arrow key QuickNav or to turn it back off, you're going to press the left and right arrow keys together. So since we're in help mode, let's listen.
Left arrow, right arrow, toggle quick nav.
Okay. Now let's show you the single key quick nav. You turn that off and on with VO and the letter Q. Listen.
Alt cap Q, toggle single letter quick nav.
Okay. Now I'm going to explain what both of these do. Let's start with single key quick nav, which is the left and right arrow keys together. When I have when I have arrow key quick nav turned on, what that allows me to do is to press keys without having to use the VO key control and option thing, okay? So, for example, if I have quick nav turned on, the arrow key quick nav, I can simply press the right arrow to move to the next item. I can simply press the left arrow to move to the previous item, and I think I can press the up and down arrows together to double tap in the equivalent of VO space. Let me see.
Down arrow.
All right, it's not going to tell me.
Down arrow.
I think that's true. Let me get out of this and see.
Escape. Stopping help.
Do I have quick nav on? I don't have it on.
Camera.
Now I do.
Home. Maps.
All right, so
App Store.
let's just
Double tap to open.
try my up and down arrow thing. Yep, that worked. That worked.
Selected.
And then
App Store.
I'll
Today,
even
tab.
use VOH to go home just to show you that works. Okay, we're home. So
Camera.
that worked. So again, if you have QuickNav on with the arrow key QuickNav, you just use the left arrow by itself, no VO keys to move to the previous.
Home. Maps. Reminders.
And
2 tasks due today.
Just the right arrow
Double tap to open.
moves to the next item.
Map. Home. Camera.
And again,
Double tap to open.
up and down arrows together will activate, like double tap or like VO space. You can also turn the rotor. I think you use the right arrow and the up arrow.
Characters, words, containers,
And I think you use the left arrow and the up arrow to go back to the previous.
words, characters, actions,
Yep.
activate,
And then, of course, I can just use the down arrow,
edit mode,
see,
activate, default.
because I have QuickNav turned on. I'm going to turn it back off. Now, QuickNav with arrow keys is great if you like using keyboard navigation and don't want to have to use your VO keys. The only thing you're going to have to do is make sure that when you get into an edit field, a place where you need to type, that you turn off both kinds of QuickNav, arrow key and single letter, which we haven't even talked about yet, but we will in a moment. But make sure you turn QuickNav off whenever you are editing, when you're in an edit field, because you might need to be able to use the arrow keys to actually move the system insertion point and not just the voiceover cursor. And so that is an important distinction. You can have it set to automatically turn QuickNav off when you double tap on an edit field or VO space or whatever on an edit area, but these are settings you can customize in your voiceover settings, right? So just be aware of that. If you are going to use arrow key QuickNav or any kind of QuickNav, you need to have it turned off when you're typing and editing text. Now, let's talk about why we have something called single letter QuickNav. When you are on websites, there are some shortcut keys that you can use that involve letters of the keyboard to help you quickly navigate web pages. For example, you can move to the next heading on a website by doing VO command and the letter H. So again, remember, notice that I'm adding the command key here. You have to hold down the VO keys, control and option, and the command key and the letter H. Let's turn on the help mode so you can hear that.
Starting help. To stop help, perform a 4-finger double tap or 2-finger scrub,
All
or
right.
press escape.
Let's
on the
listen now.
keyboard.
Ready?
Control Option Command H. Move to next heading.
Move to next heading. It might work even on other places that are not websites, now that I think about that, because you can use heading navigation in other places that are not just websites. But we often think of this with websites, right? And then if you add the shift key, you go back to the previous heading. So listen to that.
Control Option Command F
Whoops.
Shift Command Shift H. Move to previous heading.
All right. So there are lots of those, right? I think VO Command L moves to the next link. Again, VO Command Shift L to the previous. We have, I don't even know most of them probably, but let's try F.
Command F. Move to next frame.
That's VO Command F. Let's try VO Command N.
Command.
Nope, none there. How about I?
Alt Command I. Move to next item with italic text.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you can see there's many of these, but again, if you're thinking that's a lot of keys, well, all you have to do is turn on single letter QuickNav with VOQ, and then I can literally just press the letter H, press Shift H, press the letter L, press Shift L, and it's going to do without holding down all those other keys. So that's the different kinds of QuickNav. Arrow key and single letter, that's when they're useful and how they're useful, and then again, you want to remember to turn them off when you're editing or typing text. All right, so that is a bit about the voiceover commands that you might have and that you can use. There are others, but again, I would encourage you to check out the documentation, play with keyboard help, and just try some different things and see what you find. All right, now we really do need to talk about the other kind of keyboard commands, and these are the iPad OS keyboard commands. Unlike voiceover commands, these iPad OS commands will work for anyone and everyone. All right, they will work for everybody, even if voiceover is turned off. They are not voiceover specific, and they do not require voiceover to be running. Most of them will even work, not all, but most of them will even work on the iPhone. right? And many of them will work on the Mac. They are specific to the OS, and sometimes they are also specific to whatever app you happen to be using. Now, there's going to be some that will be the same across the board. Let me get out of my keyboard help here. I'll do it with a scrub this time.
2-finger scrub, escape, stopping help.
Okay. Now,
Store.
the thing I want you to understand about these iPad commands is that they are going to, many of them will work across the operating system, right? So, there are certain keyboard commands, and I think maybe Command H. Again, no VO keys now. We're only talking about the Command key. I think Command H might be another way to go home. Again, I just don't use that stuff, but a lot of these are going to have the Control key or the Command key, and sometimes the Option or Command and Option, different combinations, right? One of the common sets of commands that you've probably heard of, and if you're a Windows user, you've heard of the Control key with like Control C to copy, Control V to paste, Control X to cut, Control Z to undo. Well, we have those on Apple as well, but they don't use the Control key. Instead, they use the Command key. So, for example, Command C to copy, Command V as in Victor to paste, Command X to cut, Command Z as in zebra to undo, Command Shift Z to redo. All of these commands, Command B for bold, Command I for italics, right? There's just a ton of them, and they work. And they work in almost any edit field or text area, right? Whether you are in messages or pages or notes or other apps that we're going to learn, praise God, they're going to work. All right, they're very, very common, and most of them will work. Now, something like bold or something, if you have an app that doesn't support bold, well, that's a different matter. But, Command C to copy, Command V to paste, they're super easy commands that will work across the board. Another set of commands that will work in most apps are going to be your editing commands using the arrow keys. And we're going to teach those when we get into notes and then pages. But you may already know some of them, like very simply moving by character with the right arrow or the left arrow, moving up or down by line with the up or down arrow, adding the shift key to select, these kinds of, again, we're going to teach all of that, praise God, very specifically when we get into notes and pages. But they are going to work across the board, most apps. But again, that's one of those cases where you're going to have to make sure your quick navs are turned off, because you got to be able to move the insertion point, not the voiceover cursor. So that's why we need to keep that in mind, right? But those editing, and text navigation commands will typically work just fine. The other thing that we're going to find then is that there are very specific commands in different apps that will allow us to do different types of things. So, for example, in an app like Pages, you're going to find Command N for, creating a new document, Command O to open a document, Command P to print a document. And again, a lot of these are going to be consistent. They try to keep it consistent across the board, but you're going to, certain apps will have different things that other ones maybe don't. But, Command P to print, those are very, very common. And Command W will close an app window, or essentially get out of an app and return you to the home screen, right? That's Command W. So we have all of these different commands, and the important thing is going to be learning how and where to find the information. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit, because tons and tons of apps have very different commands, even though, as I said, a lot of them you're going to find are going to be, very, very similar. But what I would just point out is that this is very important and very useful, because you want to make sure if you're going to, use the key. I mean, it's phenomenal. This has given us a whole new way to interact with your apps. Imagine this, right? I mean, I open an app and I can use keyboard commands to do just about anything I want to do, to compose a new message, to create a new email, to create a new Pages document or a new note, to open an existing file, to bold my text, to select my text, to print my document, whatever it is that I want to do, chances are, now not everything, but chances are for many things, there will be a keyboard command, because again, you have your voiceover commands. You have your commands that are pretty much consistent across the OS, like your editing commands and, Command V to paste and so on. And then you have your app-specific commands. And these are ones that are going to be a little bit different depending on the app, right? And we'll show you some examples of these things. Now, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert because Trainer Cliff did an excellent job, and we're going to turn things over to him in a few moments, and then I'm going to come back to you, tell you everything he got wrong. No, I'm just kidding, but I will close things out here in a bit, but at the end. But I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. We've talked about the menu bar now, right? So how do you bring up the menu bar with the keyboard? Because I told you there's a way to do that, and it's not a voiceover command. It's an iPad OS command, and it is Globe M. Globe and the letter M. So you're going to press and hold that globe key at the bottom left of the keyboard and then press the letter M and then let them both go. And that, my friends, is going to bring up the menu bar. Now, Trainer Cliff has given some great examples here in a moment. He's about to give some great examples of ways that you can use the keyboard effectively and use the menu bar, and how you can learn many of the shortcuts available in the menu bar. But I want to set the scene here before we get started. One of the reasons, there are many, but one of the reasons that I really enjoy using the touchscreen is because it's easy to move from the left side of the iPad to the right and so on. You know already that the Messages app has a split screen interface, so does the Mail app, and you're going to see that more. But the idea of using only the keyboard, I literally can't jump from one side of the iPad screen to the other, right? I just have to keep using VO right arrow all the way over from left to right until I cross over. Or do I? You're about to see from Trainer Cliff that there actually is another option. So let's listen now to Trainer Cliff as he shows some ways to use the keyboard efficiently and look at the menu bar and learn some app shortcuts in whatever app you're using. Take it away, Cliff.
All right, this is more with the... Oops, this ain't more with the Mac. This is iPad for all computing people. But I'm about to do a demo for you on the iPad to show you that the menu bar makes you feel like you're using a Mac laptop, desktop, whatever. I mean, I got the Mac Pro, but I ain't never owned that, and I have no desire to. I mean, unless, of course, I'll add a job with Paramount or Universal Studios. Anyways, let's go ahead and go to Mail.
Suggest Face, Chat, Jeep, Doc, Google, Media, Finance, and Shop, Business folder, Communication folder.
As you can see, I got all my apps in folders. We'll cover that later in the course, I'm sure.
Opening Communication.
Or maybe not, because that was done in VoiceOver in and out.
Phone,
Anyways.
1 new messages, 4 unread message, mail, 7 unread emails.
All right. So, what you got here is your mailboxes. I'm going to VO right arrow.
Hide sidebar, button.
And this is all being done with the keyboard. I'm not swiping on the screen at all.
Selected, iCloud. Family email, bits ACB, ACB used, Phantom Gmail, VIP. Send later.
Okay. So those are my main accounts, inboxes. It's kind of funny because on my Mac, I use the unified inbox, but on my phone and my iPad, I absolutely hate it. But so if you continue to VO right arrow.
Star private mail, iCloud, button, expanded.
All right, you see it says expanded.
Swipe up or down to
VoiceOver. I don't need everything said. Anyways, you see that it's expanded.
ACB, 3 unread, Amazon devotionals.
These are
Domain,
all my
Google, Office materials, night receipts, 5
These are all my folders within iCloud.
Rest, strict tech priority, family email, Cliff Gmail, button, collapsed.
You hear that says
Double tapped
collapsed?
Phantom Gmail, button, collapsed.
Collapsed.
Bits ACB, 2 unread messages, button, collapsed.
So if I VO
Double tap to
space bar, I will expand those. So, but let's go back up here.
Edit, button.
So we're going to go to, let's go to an inbox. Let's go.
Inbox. Swipe, drafts, 3 unread, sent. Junk. Bin, 3 unread, archive. $ACB, 3 unread messages, $sign shopping, 10 unread messages.
All right, I got 10 messages in here. Let's check this out. So I'm going to VO space bar here.
Selected, $sign shopping, 10 unread messages.
Now, it still says that I'm in mailboxes list, but if I just hit the down arrow.
$sign shopping eCloud, heading.
All right, there it is. You hear it said heading. Now, I pushed the down arrow once. If for some reason that it doesn't go down, you always got
Containers. Screen recognition. Containers.
you got containers, and that will always take you to the section that's selected.
Enter full screen. Button.
It says enter full screen. That tells me that I'm at the top of the message. The message list, I should say. So when you open a folder, it has you in the it shows the folder highlighted.
Sent. Junk bin. Select ACB. 3. Selected. $sign shopping. 10
Okay.
unread messages.
So you say it says dollar shopping because that's what this folder is called, and it says selected. So all I should have to do here is push the down arrow.
$sign shopping eCloud. Heading.
All right, you heard the name of the folder and it said heading. That tells me that I'm at the top of the messages that skipped over all those other accounts and folders that I would have normally had to swipe through. If by some chance it doesn't go directly to that heading of the name of the folder, just switch your order to the containers, hit the down arrow, and it will happen. So let's VO right arrow.
Select. Button.
But in this case, it's I'm just hitting the right arrow because I use quick nav to toggle that on and off. It's the left and right arrows together, and you will hear
Arrow key quick nav. Off. Arrow key quick nav. On. Arrow key quick nav. On.
okay. Mine says the sound and the tells me that quick nav is on and off. You can go into settings, accessibility, voiceover, quick nav, and you can set that to either be sounds, both like I have, or just to say it. So right arrow.
Toggle filter. Off. Button.
I can toggle my filter on, but I don't want to.
10 unread.
All right, so here we go with the messages.
Messages. Unread. Papa John's. Fuel up for less with Papa Pairings. Smiling face.
Yeah, I'm a Papa John's reward member.
Unread. Burger King. Who doesn't look. Unread. Wingstop. Get 2 free star tenders. Party popper emoji. Double dip on a fan fave.
All right, so I'm 2 messages in. I'm on the 3rd message, so I'm going to VO spacebar, but in my case, it's up and down arrow together because I'm using quick nav.
Selected. Unread.
Now,
Selected. Wingstop. Get 2 free star tenders. Party popper emoji. Double dip on a fan fave. Friday.
You heard that noise. That means it opened up the message. Let's VO just right arrow.
Unread. Papa John's. Friday. Just got.
Okay, so
Selected. Wingstop. Get 2.
there's the message that's highlighted. Just like when I open the mailbox, it's highlighted, but it's not at the message. But if I hit the down arrow by itself,
Mark as unread.
okay, it didn't do it.
Activate. Default.
So in this case, you would have to use your rotor, the right arrow and the up arrow, and go to containers.
Edit. Headings. Containers.
There it is. I'm gonna hit the down arrow, and this should land me at the top of the message.
Enter full screen. Button.
And there it is. Enter full screen is your indication that you're at the top of where you want to be.
Compose. Button. Reply. Button. Reply all. Button. Forward. Button. Delete. Button. Move. Button. Search. Dictate. Button. Summarize. 1 message. Message header. This message is from a mailing. Unsubscribe. Close. Wing. To Friday. Get. Wing. View menu. Link. Order now. Link. Get 2 free tenders worth 15.
So there's the message. It's open. But again, whenever you highlight a message, hitting the down arrow, we're not hitting the down arrow. Turning your rotor to containers and then hitting the down arrow will get you to the top of that message. And that way you will not have to scroll through all the other messages that are there. So I'm going to give you a little cheat code here. So to go to the top of your window is Control and the up arrow.
Edit. Button.
That got me all the way back to the top.
Hide sidebar. Button.
It's asking me if I want to hide the sidebar.
iCloud.
Now,
Swipe up or down to select a custom action.
Normally I would, but this is where I want to show you.
$sign shopping eCloud. Heading.
Bam, I hit the down arrow and it put me at the top of that folder that I already had open again. It skipped over all the expanded folders that I had open. It skipped over all the accounts that I had. It took me all the way down.
Select. Button. Toggle. 9. Selected. Wingstop. Get. Unread. Burger King. Unread. Habit. Unread. Selected. Wingstop. Get.
And right there, you see that message is still selected. And I can either up arrow,
Delete.
and delete, or
Activate. Default.
I can just hit the backspace button, which is right in the last button on the second row, all the way to the right. So I can just hit that.
Unread. Papa John's.
And you see that message, that Wingstop message is gone now.
Unread. Burger King. Who doesn't look. Unread. Papa 9. Unread.
And there's nothing selected. So let's go back up here to the top with control up arrow again.
Edit. Button. Hide sidebar. Button.
Now, hide sidebar, you can actually, I prefer to do it this way because it's kind of an awkward key command. But if you want to do it with the keyboard, it is Control, Command, and the letter S. It would be better if there was a Control key on the right side of the keyboard for the iPad, but there is not. So if you want to do it with the keyboard, it is Command, Control, S. Otherwise,
Edit. Hide sidebar. Button.
I can just VO spacebar here.
Hide sidebar.
And what that means is it's hiding all the accounts and expanded folders in iCloud. Now when I go up to the
Show
top,
sidebar. Button.
it says Show Sidebar, and if I right arrow,
$ shopping eCloud. Heading.
there's the name of my folder. So while we're in here, man, I wish these sinuses would go away. But anyway, while we're in here, I'm going to show you how to use the menu bar. So I'm going to hold down the globe key, FN key, whatever you want to call it. But it's the key that's all the way to the left on the bottom of your keyboard if you're using an Apple keyboard. If you're using a third-party keyboard, you'll have to make sure that that keyboard has the function or globe key on it and then use it to open up the menu bar. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hold that down and hit the letter M, and let's hear what happens.
Menu bar. Mail window controls. Button.
Menu bar window controls. All right. Let's hit the right arrow.
Mail. Button.
That's mail. Now, if you've come from Mac OS, you already know when you open up your menu bar, the first two things are always going to be the same. It's going to be
Window controls.
well, on here it's going to be Windows Control, but on Mac OS it'll be the Apple menu. But on here it's Windows Control, but the second menu will always be the app that you're in, which is
Mail. Button.
all right. There's mail. So what do you hear here?
File. Button.
Wonder where we heard that before.
Edit. Button.
That too. Edit.
View. Button.
View. How about that?
Mailbox. Button.
Mailbox.
Message. Button.
Message.
Format. Button.
All that.
Window,
See,
button.
this is all stuff that you would see on Mac OS if you went to the menu bar there. So I'm going to do globe / function, whatever you want to call it, key M again to close this toolbar or menu bar. You
Mail.
heard that
$
little-
shopping eCloud. Heading.
You heard that little sound to indicate that it was on, that it was closed. Now, I'm not going to go through all the commands because you can go in the menu bar as I just showed you to do so. But a new message is Command N. To reply is Command R. To reply all is Command Shift R. To send your message is Command D. If you're in a folder and you want to select all your messages, Command A. Then you just hit the delete key and they're gone. You don't have to go make sure they're selected. I mean, because it's going to tell you how many messages you selected anyway. If you want to go to your mailboxes, let's see.
Show sidebar. Button.
I got to show my sidebar first, but
Show sidebar.
if right,
Edit. Button. Hides iCloud. Family email. For iCloud.
but if I hit the number 2, it should take me to my second account. I'm sorry, Command and the number 2.
Hide sidebar. iCloud. Selected. Family email. 5 unread messages.
And there it is. It's selected and it opened it.
Bits ACB. 2 unread messages.
So
Screen recognition. Off. Voices. Voice speaking. Words. Character. Edit. Headings. Containers.
I'm on container, so I'm going to hit the down arrow.
Inbox family email. Heading.
There it is.
Toggle filter. Off. Button.
Already expanded for me. Now I'm looking at my family email inboxes.
More. Button. Updated just now. Messages. Unread. Whoop.com. Daily Digest. Amazon Kindle Scribe or Papa White.
Apparently, Whoop got a deal on some Kindle stuff.
Delete. Deleted. Amazon.com. Give your opinion.
Okay. So, and if I want to go to, let me see, I think my VIPs is number 5. So if I'm going to go to my VIPs, I do Command 5.
No messages.
And it says no messages, but let's see what's highlighted here.
Edit. Hides. iCloud. Family. Bits ACB. Selected. VIP. Selected. Phantom Gmail.
Oh, no, that's one of my Gmail accounts. But let me hit the down arrow and see if it drops me down there like it's supposed to.
Inbox Phantom Gmail. Heading.
And it did. Bam. So when you select these inboxes with these keyboard or these accounts, I should say, with these commands, command 1 through whatever I think it'll go all the way up to 9, but you got 9 accounts, then you either got a lot of work to do or a lot of free time on your hands. But anyways, to each their own, personal preference. Anyways, but command 1 through 5 will definitely give you your mailbox account to jump to. I wish they had a way for you to add favorites like they did on the Mac so you can customize them. Maybe that'll come in another update, but right now it doesn't do that. All right, so let me go back to the menu bar here, and I'm going to let VoiceOver do the talking for me.
Menu bar. Mail. Window. Mail. Button. File. Button. Edit. Button. File. Button. New message. Command. N. But new viewer window. Option. Command. N. Open message. Command. O. Button. Close window. Command. W. Button. Attach file. Shift. Command. A. Dimmed. Button. Print. Command. Key. Dimmed. But dismiss context menu. Button. Menu bar. Mail. Window controls. Button. Mail. Button. File. Button. Edit. Button. View. Button. Command. L. Button. BCC address field. Option. Command. B. Dimmed. Enable message filter. Command. L. But B. Customize toolbar. Button. Hide sidebar. Control. Command. S. Button. Dismiss context menu. Button. Dismiss context menu. Button. Mail. Toggle filter. Off. Button. More. Button. Menu bar. Mail. Tuesday 09. Window controls. Button. Tuesday 1:36 a.m. 1:30 Tuesday. Window. Mail. Button. File. Button. Edit. Button. View. Button. Mailbox. Button. Shift. Command. N. Button. Get all new mail. Shift. Command. N. But mark all messages as read. Dimmed. Button. Go to favorite mailbox. Button. Collapsed. Double. Move to favorite mailbox. Button. Collapsed. Go to mailbox category. Button. Collapsed. Go to previous mailbox. Control. Command. Left square bracket. Button. Go to next mailbox. Control. Command. Right square bracket. But dismiss context menu. Button. Mail. More. Button.
So as you can see, there's a lot of options there. If you had a did the what is it? In the view menu where it says go to favorites and that said collapse, it was just going to show you that you could do command 1 through whatever, how many accounts you have on here to go to. Another one it had that's interesting is command shift A to attach a file. So if you're in an email and you need to send a file to somebody, you could do command shift A and that will drop you right into your files menu, and you can pick the file you want to attach, select it, and bam, it's attached to that email. What was the other one that I wanted to touch on? It said to open an email is Command O. Ick. That's Windowish for me. Anyway, all you got to do is VO space bar or up and down arrow with quick nav on, and it will open the email. You want to do Command O, more power to you. To each their own. So that's the mail app. Let's go to messages. Even though folder. Trainer Matt stole a little bit of my thunder on this one on Wednesday of last week, but we gonna go there.
Messages. 6 unread messages.
All right, messages.
Double
Here we go.
Arrow key quick enough.
And more times than not, when you come in here, it's gonna drop you in the edit field of the message that you've already been in. Again, in any window, any app, any application, any area that you are on the iPad. Control up arrow will get you to the top.
Filter button.
And control down arrow will get you to the bottom.
Suggested. That's a relief.
So,
filter button.
If you select the conversation here.
Corin. Hind. Shug. Hind.
Let's do
Swipe
one here.
Shawnee E. Hart. Podcast 2025. Matt. Hind.
Here, let's
swipe up or down to select.
We got one more trainer Matt here. So let's VO space bar on here, or up and down arrow in my case, because I use quick nav.
Arrow key quick nav off.
Now, you heard that noise, and you heard it say quick nav off. Technically, it's not off, but it's telling me that I can write. So, let's let Trainer Matt know we're doing a demo.
This is for the iPad. D keyboard.
And I'm going to hit enter to send. And if any of you guys are in my More to Mac class, you know if you want to add an extra line to something, a conversation or a text that you're sending, you got to use option and enter.
New line.
You heard it say new line. I was holding down the option key when I did that.
Add button. Messages. Notify anyway, but do not deliver quietly.
Well, apparently Matt don't want to hear from me because you got do not disturb on, but I could say
do not disturb. Matt, notify anyway button.
I could notify anyway, but I'm not going to mess with him. He got to go to church in the morning. So,
do not deliver your iMessage.
There's some things that you could do here. Let's go to the menu bar in here. So if you hold down the letter or the globe / function key, whatever you want to call it, hit the letter M.
Menu bar, window controls, button.
Menu bar, and again, I'm going to let VoiceOver do the work here.
Messages, button. File, button. New message, command, N, button. Close window, command, W, button. Open conversation in new window, button. Print, command, key, button. Dismiss context menu, button. Dismiss print, open conversation, print, dismiss context menu, button. Messages, your iMac mobile service, 4 of 4 bars. Signals, clips, 100, 100, clips corner, 140 Tuesday, window messages, button. File, button. Edit, button. View, button. Show times, button. Selected, messages, control, command, 1, button. Unknown senders, control, command, 2, button. Recently deleted, control, command, 4, button. Filter by Unread. Control. Command. U. Button. Drafts. Dimmed. Button. Send later. Dimmed. Button. Dismiss context menu. Button. Arrow format. Button. Conversation. Button. View. Button. Conversation. Button. Show details. Option. Command. I. Button. Show contact card. Option. Command. B. Button. Mark as unread. Shift. Command. U. Button. Hide alerts. Option. Command. M. Button. Block person. Button. Delete conversation. Button. Send email. Option. Send file. Button. Send email. Option. Command. E. Send file. Button. Share my screen. Button. Ask to share screen. Button. FaceTime video. Button. FaceTime audio. Button. Call. 8. Call +1. 8. Call. 8. 1. Dismiss context menu. Button. Mobile service. 4 of 4. Help. Button. Window. Button. Format. Button. Conversation. Button. Format. Button. Bold. Command. B. Button. Italic. Command. I. Button. Underline. Command. U. Button. Strike through. Button. Text effects. Big. Option. Command. 1. Button. Small. Option. Command. 2. Button. Shake. Option. Command. 3. Button. Nod. Option. Command. 4. Button. Explode. Option. Command. 5. Button. Ripple. Option. Command. 6. Button. Bloom. Option. Command. 7. Button. Jitter. Option. Command. 8. Button. Dismiss context menu. Button. Messages. Tuesday 09 Jan. Compose. Button.
As you can see, there's a lot of options there. But again, it's a menu bar. It's giving you options. If it has a command, it will tell you what it is. Again, Apple has made it seamless to give you the Mac OS feel on the iPad. And I'm telling you, anybody who knows me, Matt will tell you, I have bought and sold 2 or 3 iPad Pros before now. This one is here to stay because they have implemented the Mac OS experience on the iPad. This is my mobile device. This is what I use when I know I'm going to be gone. I take it to work with me, be on my iPad on public transportation, at a coffee shop. I mean, this is I literally call it my mobile office, my orbit office, because, I'll be moving around. But when I'm at home, I'm on my Mac Studio, of course. But when I'm on the move, especially because the iPad has cellular data, this is what I use. So let's jump into one more app.
Church folder.
Which is going to be the Files app.
Suggestions. WhatsApp.
Now, what I did there is these are my 3 most recently used apps, which is on my dock. But again, I used Control down arrow to jump that. Now, if I wanted to jump to the top,
church folder, 22 apps.
There's my church folder I have on my Bible apps, which is, matter of fact,
opening church folder, Bible, 1 new item.
Let me go read my verse of the day.
Double tap to open.
And the reason I'm
Selected,
doing this
Bible, home, tab,
is because
1 of 5.
I actually haven't tested the Bible app on the iPad to see if it has menu bar options. But let me get my verse of the day real quick.
Bible, tab, 2 plans, discover, you, tab, select, communicate, good morning, Cliff, streak, 63, notifications, 1, verse of the day, 2 Peter 3, 9. Don't overlook the obvious here, friends. With God, 1 day is as good as 1,000 years, 1,000 years as a day. God isn't late with his promise as some measure lateness. He is restraining himself on account of you, holding back the end because he doesn't want anyone lost. He's giving everyone space and time to change. Like 3, 5, 9.
All right, so I'm going to jump down to the bottom with Control down arrow.
View all button. 2026 Easter chat badges. Teacher guide more guided day 60 verse of the day notifications streak.
All right, here's all my tabs.
Top bar selected home tab. 1 of 5.
So in the Bible app, the tabs are at the top, not the bottom.
Bible tab 2 of plans tab discover you selected community 2
okay, so let's see if there's a menu bar.
Menu bar 5 window controls button. Bible button. File button. Edit button. Format button. View button. Window button. Help window view button. Show sidebar control dismiss context menu dismiss context show sidebar dismiss context menu button. Bible active community 2 of 2 button. Mobile service 4 of 4 bars. Cliffs media 100% bat 100% 145 Tuesday window controls button. Bible button. File button. Edit button. Format button.
Let's go
edit
into
file button.
View.
Bible file button. Edit button.
No,
file
we're going to go
button.
into file. Let's see what it's on.
No menu items dimmed. Dismiss context
You
menu.
heard it. It said no menu items. So no, the Bible app doesn't really have any menu
Bible
items. So
community church heading.
go
Closing
get
church
out,
folder.
Get out of that app. All right, let's jump down here to my dock.
File Pete drive Pete files.
All right, let's
Double
go here
tap
to
to open.
files. All right.
Files active forwards dimmed. More with the Mac 2026 drafts. Actions menu. More button.
All right. And again, I'm going to let VoiceOver do the work.
Menu bar. File window controls button. Tuesday 09 Jan. Stated window files button. File button. Edit button. View button. Go button. Window button. Go button. Back, command, left square bracket, dimmed, button, forwards, command, right square bracket, dimmed, enclosing folder, command, triangle arrow up, button. Recents, shift, command, F, button. Documents, shift, command, O, button. Desktop, shift, command, D, button. Downloads, option, command, L, button. On my iPad, shift, command, H, dimmed. iCloud Drive, shift, command, I, button. Shared, shift, command, S, button. Go to folder, shift, command, G, button. Connect to server, command, K, button. Dismiss context menu, button. Dismiss context menu, button. Files, more, button. Select, button. Mobile service, 4 of 4 bars, 147 2 window files, button. File, files, button. File, button. New window, command, new folder, shift, command, N, button. New folder with selection, control, command, N, open, command, O, dimmed, open with, button. Collapsed, close window, command, W, button. Get info, command, I, dimmed, button. Rename, return left, dimmed, button. Compress, dimmed, button. Duplicate, command, D, dimmed. Quick look, command, Y, dimmed. Share, dimmed, but show in enclosing folder, command, add to favorites, control, add to dock, add to favorites, control, command, T, dimmed, but add to dock, control, shift, command, T, dimmed, button. Delete, command, backspace, dimmed, but eject, command, E, dimmed, but scan documents, button. Find, command, F, button. Dismiss context menu, button. New window, command. New fold, open, command. Open with, button. Collapse, close window, command. Get info, command. I, dim, rename, return left, dimmed, button. Compress, dimmed, but duplicate, command. Quick look, command. Y, dimmed, button. Files, Tuesday.
So as you can see here, we got a lot of different options. It said Command Shift L or Command Option L to go to downloads. Let's see if that works. Yeah, what folder are we in?
1:48 a.m. Tuesday 09 Jan. Status bar item. 15 sync with iCloud. More button. Hide sidebar button. Recents button. Hide sidebar.
And so again in here, I'm pretty sure you can hit the down arrow.
Back button. See folders you viewed.
And it's going to go to that, the first heading there. But
screen recognition.
I'm going to switch mine to containers.
Voices, voice speaking, words, characters, headings, containers. Forwards, dimmed. Downloads, select button.
And yes, it is. It's downloads.
Downloads. Actions.
All right. Now, so we can go to, we can go to our documents with Command Shift O. Let's try it.
More button.
Let's see.
Back button.
Where are we at?
Forwards, dimmed. Documents, actions menu.
There it is. We are in our documents folder. Well, all right. VoiceOver told the truth. Now that rename thing.
New list button. Full date modified, but more button. Hashtag logos, 5 items. Medical training, 7 items.
It says something about return left. I don't understand that. Let's see.
Documents, new lists, folders, button.
I'm going to have to ask Matt about that one.
Date more, button.
Okay,
hashtag logos.
But as you can see, you have a lot of options in the menu bar now that essentially for me, I don't know about anybody else, but it definitely speeds up my workflow on the iPad. And there, my folks, is I was about to do it again, iPad for all computing, keyboard demonstration. This is Trainer Cliff.
All right. Well, a big thank you to Trainer Cliff for that excellent keyboard demonstration. Now, how do I find all of these keyboard commands, right? Because I've shown you how to find the VoiceOver commands, but how do I know, for example, what commands I can use in Pages or Messages? Well, the first way we're going to do that is we're going to do exactly what Trainer Cliff did. We're going to go to the menu bar. We're going to press Globe M or get the menu bar from the screen, either way. And I think you can even use the trackpad. I forget now what the command is. I think maybe you swipe down from the, well, normally for non-VoiceOver users on the screen, it's swipe down from the top center. But there's something, I don't know if it's a swipe up. I'll have to check that out. But the trackpad does have a way to access the menu bar also, but we know on the screen, we know with VoiceOver, we know with the keyboard Globe M. And so we go to the menu bar, and then, friends, we go through the menus, and we listen, and we hear new document, Command N, reply to message command R, whatever the app is, whatever the command might be, there's going to be, if there's a keyboard command available for a particular item, you're going to hear it by going through that menu bar. So that's one very important way to access keyboard commands for a particular app. Another way is to look in whatever onboard help system the app provides. Now, sometimes this is, you can find it in the help menu of the app, in the menu bar. Other times there may be a way that, that is an alternative, like on the touch screen by using a help button or an info button, or under settings, it might have help and support, and some of them will have user guides. The Apple Creator Studio apps certainly do, and even some of the other ones, like iMovie and so on, there's user guides for them, and you can find them typically in the app and certainly online as well. Often they have voiceover sections too to help you out, but additionally you'll find sections of keyboard commands if, many apps do have those. And so that's another great way that we can get a list of commands that will work for keyboard users in any given app. And then, of course, the other way is to simply do a Google search or to ask your favorite AI assistant, right? ChatGPT or Gemini or what have you, because in those you'll be able to get answers as well on these things. Now, you know that the Globe M gets the menu bar. There's even a help menu. I mentioned to you that also in the app menu, which is that second one over that Trainer Cliff talked about. It's called Messages if you're in the Messages app. It's called Mail if you're in the Mail app, and so on. There is typically a settings option. And I mentioned this before. A lot of times I think you can press Command, comma across the board, whatever the app is. And so if I'm in Pages and I press Command, comma, you know what that's going to do? It's going to take me immediately to Settings, and it's going to take me to Pages settings, the Pages area of settings, or in the Messages app. At least I think that will in Pages. Now, Pages has its own settings in the app too, so that could be interesting, but usually there's a connection between the two. Messages, I'm in Messages. I press Command, comma, and what's that going to do? It's going to open Settings right in the Messages area. So I hope you've seen today that it is entirely possible to use the iPad with a keyboard efficiently, effectively, and powerfully. God bless you, my friends, and we will see you next time.